About a year ago, Barbara and I met for lunch. I was just kind of getting to know her, and I asked her, about Moldova, and she was telling me about the orphans there and the foster care system and how they age out at 14. 2 of my kids are adopted out of foster care. And so I knew instantly that as soon as we went on the next trip that I would be going. Most of the week he was very quiet and reserved, and he was very kind, very helpful. I think it was the last day I had went through and I asked Valaria to ask each kid, is there something that I can be praying for you about when I go back home? So I asked him also, and he just kind of shook his head no, and so I was just like, okay. And so we went around to the kids. Well, I saw he had pulled out his phone. About halfway through the kids talking, he handed me his phone, and he had written out what he wanted prayer for and had it translated for me. But something impaled his eye, and he had like 60% loss of vision, and it also had like a huge traumatic effect on his body and his self-image and his self-worth and his self-esteem. All of that just plummeted, and he was struggling. He told me that he loved Jesus, but his faith was wavering because he didn't understand why he had to go through this traumatic event, and there was a surgery that could help him, but that he didn't have the funds to be able to afford the surgery, and he was asking for prayer.
I had heard about his accident, and I had noticed he was just really quiet. His brother was one of my leaders, and Mark, and they're both just really easy with the children. I mean, they just had a lot of patience, and I saw that, and I thought, wow, that's just amazing that these 2 guys that just were so gentle with the students they were leading. I had money to go over there and to bless someone. I didn't have really any idea, and so prayed about it, and I had no idea what to do, what I was going to do with it, but I just felt like a need. And so, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be a student that needs this, that might need something, because we've done that before. So this morning before breakfast, Amber and Marina was just talking, and for whatever reason, I just busted right in their conversation, just walked right upon it, and they were talking about Abel, and not thinking of anything. I'm like, well, how much is this surgery? And Marina just says $500. And my heart just like exploded, because that's the amount of money that I had, and I have the money for his surgery, and this is the exact amount.
He was very humble through the whole thing, but he was very gracious and grateful. Jesus saw his need and met the need in such a direct way.
He was just like a child. I mean, he just
saw the weight lift,
bawling, and so grateful. But I wanted to make sure that he understood it was not from us. That right. This money, we didn't do this. Make sure that I told him that, God heard your cry, heard your prayer, and we were just a messenger with the money. Mm-hmm. It come from God.
Seeing him walk through the camp the whole rest of that day, he just walked lighter. And that night he shared about how he had a need, and God had met that need, and he was very emotional, and it was beautiful because he told the kids, he said, no matter how hard your situation is or how impossible, no matter how big the hill is, Jesus is going to bring someone to help you climb it. For me, it's humbling to be a link in the chain of God moving and working. When she was telling me about the trip, my heart naturally pulled to go to be a light of hope for the children. When I went, I was not thinking that I was going to have a connection with one of the leaders.
He used us, and we were part of his testimony. So it's just I'm honored that God used me.
Около года тому назад наша семья прошла через испытание. Работая с инструментом, в глаз нашего сына попала проволока, пробила сетчатку, пробила хрусталик. Когда сына отвезли в Кишинев, в столицу, в больницу, врач извлек инородное тело из глаза, при этом сказав, что, скорее всего, он видеть больше не будет. Хотя бы сохранить глаз эстетически. Но по Божьей любви, по Божьей милости Бог сохранил внешний и глаз и сохранил определенный процент зрения. Настало время второй операции. Когда нам сказали, сколько будет стоить операция, честно говоря, мы запереживали, потому что у нас таких денег не было. Но, доверяя нашему Богу, Бог ответил на нашу молитву. И ответ молитвы Авель получил в лагере в Адулы-Водах. Буквально несколько недель тому назад была операция прошла успешно. И сегодня Бог подарил Авелю новый хрусталик. И мы благодарим Бога за Его великую милость и любовь. Будьте благословенны, дорогие, за вашу жертвенность.